Hello, my name is Exabu, and this is Unity of Command 2 Barbarossa DLC Yelnya mission on hard. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so we're starting with the arrangement of everything in this mission, essentially the pre-mission turn we get with every mission in this DLC, thankfully. And as you can see, I'm arranging all of the, I'm placing all of the specialist steps and reinforcements, knowing that this is effectively, for me, it was the penultimate mission in this conference. So I was, and the next mission would be pretty easy here. This is a reasonably easy mission. So, and I knew that I could comfortably spend all those specialist steps and not worry about not having them to give to my troops in the subsequent missions. So this is what I'm doing. I'm arranging all of the supply and moving rearranging the supply and moving the HQs, all of the standard stuff that came. Well, you have to do with every mission in this DLC and generally every mission in Unity of Command. So let's see what I do. So my first step with the mission is to take Pochep. You don't have to take it on turn 1, but my idea, my point is that you can easily block it, like take it and prevent the Soviets from recapturing it very easily, so they can't encircle it. There is a river and everything, so just so that you can just get it out of the way, so that your tanks and like really strong divisions that need to advance towards the south, towards Shostka and everything, you can like free them up, and you don't have to worry about worry about that objective. That's my mentality here. So just rush it, like even if it takes some casualties, doesn't matter. Just get rid of it, get it out of the way. Elsewhere, I'm gradually advancing. The area around Gomel is critical because these guys are the most likely ones to actually take Chernigov for you, because you can actually envelop the city from the south, and we will see that later in this video. But still, it's very difficult for your tanks to kind of do this pincer maneuver and manage to take Chernigov by turn 7. It's very likely that you'll approach the city on turn 6, and then we'll have just one turn to take the city. And alright, so let's look at the north. And here I'm being a little bit cheeky. You don't really have to do it. This is a bit dangerous, and you'll see why in a minute. I definitely don't recommend you to send any infantry there. Why? Because the Soviets will counterattack. Oh my god, they will counterattack that attempted, my counterattacking, right? So, and the problem is that if your unit doesn't have has nowhere to retreat to, it'll go cornered, it'll go completely suppressed, so, and Soviets will just eat it up, right? So, and ask for more. So definitely don't send any infantry because it doesn't have enough movement to retreat too far. But use your tanks if you have really elites, well equipped with specialist steps and everything, so really nasty tanks. And here's what they're doing. So they'll try to kill my Lear division. And they'll almost succeed. Thankfully, they'll almost succeed. This is the closest I got to actually losing a mechanized division in this mission. Thankfully, my first successful try of Yelnya was on Classic, and I lost a bunch of tanks, and it was a big mistake. Like, I did one thing very wrong. So, and I'll mention it once. Well, okay, right now we can mention it. So, the Soviets are trying to take Yelnya, and as you can see, I have, in Yelnya, I have one infantry division that is elite, and it has a heavy artillery. Okay, normal artillery is fine. If you have heavy artillery, like those 210mm mortars, definitely go for them. And plus, if you have also a 88mm anti-tank guns, you are set. The Soviets will not go there. Their only chance of taking Yelnya at that point is to encircle it and starve that unit. So they're not going to attack. So you'll even see me doing a little bit of counterattacking with that unit. You don't even have to maintain that entrenchment. You can actually use it because it's got these strong, very strong specialist steps. It can deal quite a lot of damage to the Soviets. So your main objective there is not to engage too far, is not to get too deep, not to try to kind of protect Yelnya from the outside, like build some sort of a ring, because the Soviets will attack they'll suppress you to hell. They've got crap loads of units, so they have enough firepower to do that, even if they are weaker on the unit-to-unit basis. Yeah, so and you just repel the attempts at encircling that town. And so, even in this playthrough, which I consider to be pretty efficient and pretty successful, I will have lost a couple of infantry divisions there. Not always, I think, due to bad luck or good ideas or good judgment. Generally, just sticking out my neck too far. And the Soviets, by the same time and by the same measure, actually counterattacking north of Yelnya, north of Yartsevo, is a decent idea because, as you can see, the Soviets, even though they kind of attacked there, they could have sent many more troops, and I've kind of distracted them. So if you have really strong mechanized units in your Panzergruppe 3, you definitely consider trying that, because it will distract Soviets, but be very careful there. Even though I'm pretty cavalier with that area, and I'll go and try to take their supply hubs and everything, as you will see pretty soon. Okay, so I'm removing my Lier division. Thankfully, I had some steps to reinforce it, and not, lose the veteran status, so I actually did give it lots of experience in previous missions. I actually kind of liked it in Smolensk, and in Heeresgruppe Mitte. I think it's not the last mission in which it appears, but in my classic playthrough, which I kind of cover in my cracking videos on my main channel, Hexabo, it's actually lost a bunch of divisions in this mission and not really suffered for it, because classic is not that difficult. But was rather unhappy because it will echo. If you lose a bunch of tank divisions here, it will echo into the future, especially into the Gates of Moscow mission, which I wouldn't say, I'm kind of maybe spoiling a little bit. I don't consider it to be the most difficult mission of the entire DLC, so... Oh, by the way, as you can see, I'm moving my tanks away from Potchep. I'm sending that infantry there, even though it's rather unfortunate that it has 2 artillery steps. They could be used elsewhere in more useful places, but unfortunately that's how it have to be. I don't think the HQ had the range. That's one of the problems with this mission. The Heeresgruppe Mitte HQ is way too far from the south, so you will have to survive without the HQ abilities. You probably won't have the time to kind of bring the HQ up to Chernigov for it to be helpful. So I just kept it there. Back to the Gates of Moscow. So I don't think it's it's a difficult mission. It's epic. There's lots of stuff happening. It's not the most difficult mission. The most difficult and frustrating mission, the most difficult mission in this game is Odessa. Is by really, it has no peers in how difficult it is, and I've successfully actually finished it on hard, so eventually the video about it is coming to this channel. And at the Gates of Moscow, yes, if you lose many tank divisions here, because, well, it's the army group center, so yeah, you will probably have trouble dealing with Moscow. Because they will, of course, will be reformed and everything, but they will be inexperienced, they will not be properly equipped, they'll probably have just 3 steps and everything, and that's my first infantry division that I lost. That's not that big of a deal. You've got plenty of infantry divisions, and largely they're not that critical for your success. And so you've got plenty of stuff. The only problem is that you lose an experienced unit, so it was a veteran. And so you obviously it's gonna be replaced with a regular. That's somewhat unfortunate. Even though sometimes I found that the DLC kinda like reinforces units and restores units, which are not regulars. So I've seen units being restored that are restored as veterans. So sometimes they're clearly doing it for balancing issues, for balancing in general. Issues or not. And as you can see, I've been rather cavalier here. So the Soviets actually encircled me there north of Yelnya, and it wouldn't be the first time actually they do it there, because the problem is that there's so many of the Soviets in that area. I just can't do anything decisive. My original plan was to go east and try and encircle them, go to Vyazma and then to Kirov, and try and encircle them, but there were too many defenders there. I think probably theoretically it's possible, but I realized that I couldn't with what I did, and I decided just to cause shenanigans, cause trouble in that area, and destroy as many Soviet infantry as I could, at the same time giving my mechanized units more experience, even though at that point they're even more experienced. And Kiev is like just this farming mission. Really, you get crap loads of experience especially for your mechanized units, because you get closer to the action. That's actually the way I found out about the hard limit for experience in a unit. So 399 experience, that's the maximum a unit can have. Yeah, and thanks to Kiev, I know that. So lots and lots of heavily suppressed, starved, out of supply units. Okay, and so let's look. This is actually a critical turn. So turn 3 is very important, because we have to take Shostka. And when I just started with this mission, it was a big problem for me, because I just didn't know how to get there. And by the way, as you've seen, I've used a recon plane. It's critical in this area. Please use recon planes, because the Soviets will just catch you unawares, right? And unlike like other games where you have ambushes and everything, here you don't have ambushes. The scale is too big, but you will stop. Your tanks will stop, and it's like the worst thing that can happen. Your tank stopped. Yeah, you really need to recon ahead and see what happens. And why is this mission critical? I mean, this turn critical. I believe that actually I don't achieve it in this playthrough, but I got very, very close. Pretty much on turn. If by the end of turn 3 you are in a hex next to Shostka, or pretty much, or more or less what I've got now, so you have to cross that bloody river by the end of turn 3. If you don't, you are very unlikely to take that village, and the Soviets will just have two lines of defense, and you just will not have the firepower to break through them, right? So you really need to cross that river, and you have to... let's see what I do with the encirclement there, just destroying the Soviets. I have 2 turns to play around, and I'm taking all of their stuff. And that actually was my plan with Vyazma. I didn't know that the tank division and the infantry divisions were there, so I was hoping it would be pretty much empty, and I could go to Kirov and everything. But back to Shostka. In Shostka, yeah, so you need to cross that river, and ideally, you need to touch Shostka by the end of turn 3. And I found that to be a really nice rule of thumb for very difficult and difficult to reach objectives. By the way, that Soviet tank division, yes, as you can see, it's like dangerously rushed towards my railway line. It kind of scared me a little bit. But I have enough troops to repel them, as you will see, but keep that in mind. The Soviets have as you can see, a bunch of mobile troops in the north, and they will not hesitate to use them whenever they see any window of opportunity. So, okay, I think the Soviets will just do all that stuff. Generally, right now it's not going to be eventful. The assault on Yelnya pretty much has fizzled out, so the Soviets are going to just blindly reshuffle their troops. And I don't think you shouldn't probably expect too much, too decisive of a contact from the Soviets in this mission anymore, and I will continue just blasting them to hell. All right, so, but it's still recorded, so let's continue. The guy in the Soviets, yes, in the north, the Soviet guy in the north, definitely defend against them, but don't worry too much. As you can see, that tank next turn, if I don't prevent that tank from moving further, it could cut my supply, right? So it cause me crap loads of trouble. But the thing is that it won't. So as you can see, I've got 1 tank division next to Yelnya. I've got that Clear division, which I successfully reinforced. It's critical to do that, and yeah, I will be able to... Well, you will see. We'll see what happens. And the Soviets are still doing all that stuff. They're huge. The Soviets are, even now, as I've destroyed a bunch of their units already, they're still doing all that stuff. Yeah, they've got crapload of HQs. and just reinforcing everything, giving everyone. It's already annoying me. Giving everyone, because normally when you play, you don't see that. You just wait a little, and then wow, you only see what you get to see, and now we see everything. I'm kind of already regretting the idea of showing the other side, even though it's kind of informative. I'll still keep it in my footage in these missions, unless I forget about it. Because like in the previous video that I did, which was what was it? The Yatka Sota, which is very different on hard from classic. In classic, you really can wing it and not worry about it. It's a really easy mission. On hard, it's really tough. And so, just, if you haven't seen that video, just go ahead and check it out. But there, I forgot to switch the enemy units on. So in the replay, so But thankfully, the game actually has a replay feature, which simplifies my work in many respects. All right, and actually, by the way, there's a little points. So I didn't send any of my tanks to Shoska. Shoska, you don't have to hold it. You just need it to take for a card, and I think it was just a truck, so it's not a hugely important card. And so always like gauge who you send to take an objective. It's like this unimportant objective that you won't have to hold. Just to send a less useful unit, which in this case is motorized infantry, absolutely, so that the tanks don't have to waste their time actually taking the objective. And by the way, here's my tank going to defend against those. I am actually got a little bit scared there. That Soviet division actually did its job scaring me, because I saw that, yeah, they could screw me over very easily. I didn't want to replay this mission. So I just sent that infantry like on a suicidal run, and hoping they would do their job, and they kind of did. And so yeah, so always gauge that, what you send into those objectives, what they do, because sometimes, yeah, don't try to send your strongest unit, especially if you know it's kind of this unnecessary objective. You just got your bonus and you don't have to hold it. If you have to hold it, especially on harder difficulty levels, especially on hard, when the Soviets have quite a considerable bonus to their combat ability, I highly recommend to send stronger units, because they might counterattack and might screw you over completely. Because the Soviets don't mind being suicidal sometimes. Okay, so we send that infantry unit. Okay, it's lost 5 steps, but it's given you 1 step of suppression, and the next one is gonna come and kill you. Or give even inflict even more suppression damage, and more until all of your steps are suppressed, all of your defenders' steps are suppressed, and you just gonna die or retreat, right? So keep that in mind. But if you be very mercenary about this game, and we will see on turn 5 how I take Trubchevsk. Trubchevsk is another objective. I think it gave engineers. So in Trubchevsk, you really don't have to take it. So I just went there, and the same turn I started moving away from it. So you really don't need to hold it. If you don't need to hold something, don't hold it. If you don't need to take something, don't take it. So that's be very mercenary about with this game, especially on harder difficulty levels, because the game will not forgive you sloppiness, or not forgive you not being ruthless. Because here you sometimes really have to be. Alright, so let's look at what I do in the north. I take all of your base that belong to us. I take all of the Soviet stuff. Just doing this for the lols. And actually, that move by the SS division was not very lucky. And as you can see, the Soviets are running out of supply and just destroying them there. Just having fun already. So this battle is really lost for the Soviets at this point, and that they're not gonna seriously counterattack. Even though I'm still like that division that just attacked is gonna die in that specific hex in which it attacked. So the Soviets will counterattack. They will use every opportunity. I don't know how they scripted it, but they will use. Oh, maybe it's kind of this general AI they have, because the AI in this game is pretty strong. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to force these guys to retreat. But Trubchevsk mine, and I just immediately moved that motorized division away, even though it probably will not participate in anything serious. let's still do it. It's always better to have, like, firepower like one step behind you than not having any firepower behind you at all. So it might be a little bit of reserve. If you stall, if you slow down, these guys might catch up and help out. By the way, speaking of this part, since we're looking at this part of the map, look at the bridge where the infantry division is with two artillery steps. That bridge is critical. I mean, it's not critical, absolutely indispensable. But as you can see, my tanks are already getting supply via railway thanks to that bridge, and the AI, quote-unquote, knows it. I've seen the AI really liking to destroy it, and I was kind of lucky to be able to actually touch it, to get to it, and prevent the AI from destroying it and blowing it apart. So I highly recommend you, because actually repairing is difficult, because the Heeresgruppe HQ, the General Army HQ, is far away, so you can't use it to do that. And you actually have to bring that tank HQ closer to business before you get to repair it, and then wait another turn. So it'll actually very significantly slow you down. So I highly recommend you to kind of do this. Oh, and by the way, this division is about to die, even though the Soviets lost crab loads of troops there. So yeah, and there it goes. All right, and so so you have to wait 2 turns. Really, like keep in mind. So do this kind of mental, make a mental note, if you wish. Yeah, when you attack, obviously your main focus should be Chernigov, advancing towards it, breaking through towards it with that infantry around Gomel, but also look at that bridge, because your tanks will thank you later. Oh, and by the way, it's okay. So we've just ended turn 5. Essentially on turn 6, the mission is going to be over. I think it could have been over. As far as I remember, I did not take Konotop on turn 6, even though I could have. I just decided against it. I saw that the losses would be a bit too high, because all of these troops... Okay, so you can lose that infantry, and sometimes you really need to lose that infantry. It's like, don't worry about... If that infantry can deliver results, if that infantry can help you break through, don't worry about those 1-to-1 predictions, 2-to-1, even sometimes even 3-to-2 suppressed. Sometimes it's so critical that you really need to break through. Infantry is there to deal damage and to break through. The tanks are there to just get into those breakthroughs and achieve success. That's how it works. That's what it is. That's what Blitzkrieg is. That's what virtually Soviet deep operations is. Yeah, that's very much the details differ, but that's how it works. And the brilliance of Unity of Command and the game system of Unity of Command is in the fact that it simulates it so convincingly. And by the way, Chernigov is mine. Chernigov, remember, is the hardest objective in this game, and I've managed to actually take it on turn 6. That was very successful. I got rather lucky with the weather. And and by the way, I note my placing that HQ just not defended in between the tank and the okay, so we've panned away from that place, and the Soviets are just giving their stuff away, so all their supplies. Okay, I'll send the infantry, just sweep it up. And I really don't care if they lose their supply. And here's me using using these remnants of Soviet troops to give some experience to the Lear division and to the motorized guys, because I found that on hard, the motorized divisions are somewhat vulnerable. They're pretty expensive, and they die very quickly. Not much more. They're literally not much more, like much stronger than just normal infantry divisions, but they're much more expensive. So I kind of started when I shifted from classic to hard. I started kind of, if not hating them, but kind of not very much liking them. Obviously, they're great. They're very fast, but they're also very vulnerable. And speaking of that HQ, as you can see, I set it up that HQ between the tank division and the cavalry division rather on purpose, because remember that taking an HQ takes 3 movement points. So it can work as an obstacle. Plus, I know that the AI will sometimes take over HQs, but it's not a priority for the AI. It will do that if it can, and doesn't have anything else good to do, right? So it's not a priority, so you can actually use your HQs as a sort of an obstacle. Yeah, so like preventing the Soviets from entering specific hexes, and in this case, it might have saved me and protected me against the Soviets cutting my supply lines and forcing them to run around and try and encircle my troops, which they didn't succeed in. So I'm getting supplies. Okay, and so it's turn 7. The mission is about to end. I'm just destroying the defenders of Konotop. It's like that pretty strong division. I'm doing some recreational destroying also, just for experience. And yeah, at some point, right now, I will take over Konotop, and it will be over. So, Konotop is mine. All of the objectives are mine. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you very soon with another mission. Thank you.